universities in this part of the world. And, very significantly, it's modelled on exactly the form that we now have come to associate, or since the 12th century have come in the West to associate with universities, which is a courtyard, a cloister garth, and the cells of scholars lining each side of the cloister. More of that plan later. But Xuanzang is important because in a world where there's very few literary references at this point, and we're hobbling our way blindly from inscription to inscription, Xuanzang writes his own enormous account of his travels, plus his disciple, who knows him intimately, writes a biography, Hu Li. And they describe his impression of the great University of Nalanda, which is regarded by Xuanzang as a sort of Oxbridge, plus Harvard, plus the Ivy League, plus NASA, the greatest centre of learning in the world. No fresher who ever went to university has ever left a more awed description of what he saw than what Xuanzang leaves in his biography. And Hu Li says, as a description, 6 kings built as many monasteries around the site, one after another, and then he closed them all with bricks to merge them into one monastery with one common entrance. There were separate courtyards divided into 8 departments, precious terraces ranged like the stars, and jade-storied pavilions spired like lofty peaks. Here, 10,000 monks studied the different schools of Buddhism, as well as the Vedas, logic, grammar, philosophy, medicine, metaphysics, divination, mathematics, Sanskrit, astronomy, literature, and magic. But the biggest draw of all, he says again and again, is the library. According to a later Tibetan monk who records a detailed description, the Nalanda Sutra Depository was named the Dharma Ganja. It was 9 stories high and contained 3 divisions: the Ratna Dadi, the Sea of Jewels; the Ratna Sagara, the Ocean of Jewels; and the Ratna Rajika, the Jewel Adorned. The priests, to the number of several thousands, are men of the highest ability and talent, writes Xuanzang. Their distinction is very great at the present time. The day is not sufficient for asking and answering profound questions. From morning until night, the monks engage in discussions. The old and the young mutually help each other. And these holy men bring with them their sacred texts, and particularly they bring their literature and their languages. There are no written languages in Southeast Asia before this point. And how do they justify breaking what seems to be firm laws against travel? Well, they turn Southeast Asia into an extension of India. And sometimes this is done literally by converting the holy rivers, by bringing the holy rivers of India to Cambodia. This is a whole series of Shiva lingams and yonis in the just 100 yards down from the point where the spring produces the river which will wash the temples of Angkor. And someone has dammed them at some point, or diverted the river long enough for a sculptor to put Shiva lingams and yonis right across the breadth of the river. So it is no longer that India ends at the southern tip of India. It's sort of spread into the jungles, the other side of the Bay of Bengal. Suddenly you get familiar names appearing. The great battle of the Mahabharata is at Kurukshetra, which is today a railway station an hour north of Delhi. Suddenly a Kurukshetra appears in the 6th century in Laos beneath a very lingam-like peak. You find the first city that becomes the ancestor of Bangkok in Thailand is Ayodhya, which is a version of Ayodhya, the capital of Lord Ram in the Ramayana.